Hey everyone, welcome to Faders Up with Trovarsi. I am super happy to be here tonight. I saw some people in there, John O'Wells, HR Terror, Surging Matt. Yes, welcome. Thank you for joining me. Woo! Okay, well, Faders Up, what we're going to do tonight is it's a show about talking about live setups and going through the intricacies of how we pick the gear we pick and going through the nuances of setting up and picking and choosing gear and why it inspires us. So tonight's special guest is LaFrae Sci, a.k.a. FraeFrae, daughter of Drexciya. She's a composer. She's a multi-instrumentalist. She composes for orchestras for jazz and classical. She is a sound designer. And how I had an opportunity to meet her is through electronic music and Modular. And so without further ado, we'll get more into her history and her background, but definitely, please, it's a pleasure to have FraeFrae, daughter of Drexciya.
Thank you so much, Trovarsi.
Hey.
It's so good to see you, and I'm really grateful to be here tonight. And I'm from my blue couch to yours. Yes. This is awesome. Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to have you here, and I can't wait to dig it. I know, we have these chats and we talk and things, but there's just I feel like in just this short period of time, I've had an opportunity to get to know you, but there's so much more I keep learning about you. So I can't wait to share it with the rest of the crew here. So, but first, let's watch your performance.
Okay.
All right. So everyone, FraeFrae, daughter of Drexciya. Woo! Absolutely amazing.
Thanks so much. And it's so great to be here. And I just want to start off by saying that I really appreciate you, and I really see you out here like being of service through your art and lifting other people in such an amazing way, especially during such a time where people's spirits need to be lifted. And so I think it's really awesome what you're doing, and I really appreciate you inviting me on tonight.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. Thank you. But yeah, thank you so much, and thank you for being here. Really, like I'm glad through all of that's been everything that's been happening. There's been so many blessings, and I have to say that you and meeting you and having this opportunity to meet so many people through these channels of online shows and live streams and performances and chats, and it's been an absolute blessing. So
there's so much kindness, and I mean, in this particular community, I don't know if it's between like certain synth societies, because I mean, I've experienced a lot of kindness in most of the synth societies, but like I'm looking at the chat and it's like, yeah, I know all those cats, like everybody's like so cool. And so hi Jana.
Hey John.
Monocene. I saw Lillian, Todd, HR Terror. Yes. Wesley.
Todd.
Yeah.
Shout out to
so amazing.
As John O'Well would say,
it really is.
There's a lot of love. It's a love fest.
So
yep.
Let's go.
So I have questions for you, and I'm sure that people are going to appreciate this. I want to talk about your set. I just love the way it unfolded. I like the crunchy drums you had going, and then all of a sudden this layer that was sort of like a breathing synth tone underneath it. So I don't know where you want to start, but let's well, before you start, how about we do this? Let's pull up an image of your setup.
Okay.
So we're gonna do that first.
So I'm thinking to myself, okay.
So let everybody kind of have a look at
that.
There
it is. So I'm thinking to myself, like, I want to do a patch. And I start thinking about which modules I'm going to use. I'm definitely going to use the NerdSec. This is my second patch with the NerdSec. I'm still getting to know this sequencer. I know there's some NerdSec people in the house.
Oh, yeah.
And so what I really love about it is, it's a tracker sequencer, but it allows me to make music in a different way. So I was trying to I didn't know what I was going to do, but and I was trying to fill my case. Like I don't know why, but I always feel like I have to fill my case, right? And then I was like, I don't really feel like having all those voices for this patch. Every time I do any type of streaming show or a patch, my goal is to make it like completely different than the last one that I did. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, I can just use a couple voices. And the NerdSec has so many ways to modulate sound. And so I just started getting into that and working with some of the table functions and, throwing the CV and turning the knobs. So, but should I just keep talking?
Yeah. So wait. So let's just take a look. So let's zoom in really quick, just so everyone can we'll pull us out for just a moment, and just so we can kind of see everything that's happening in the case. I see you have some WMD in there. You have the new stereo, the Panda, the stereo moon. Did I say that right?
Yes. Moon phase.
Hexpander with the hex mixer.
Yeah, and the endorphin
qubit,
that's a nebulae.
The nebula, okay.
Yeah, and then that's also the endorphin Milky Way.
Okay.
It's an effects thing next to the mimeophone. Hilarious. Look at the chat, it's funny. And then of course, one of my favorite noise engineering, the infamous BIA. I always call it the BAI because there's a radio station where my parents live that's BAI, so it gets twisted in my head. And fracture. And I like to use modules in a way that they're not supposed to be used, like try to find a way to freak the frequency in a way. But I pretty much use the drum modules as drum modules, but I also use some samples that I set up in the NerdSec as well. Okay. So I had it like shooting out some modulation and some CV, the tiny hands helping. But I also had stuff, some samples on the inside as well.
Got you. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're using a combination of samples on your NerdSec, and then you have the BIA and fracture. It was a fracture, sort of like that crunchiness, the crunchy clap, I want to say, that was kind of happening.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the other W&D was it was sort of like a cowbell, but real high pitch. Sounded like it was like hitting steel, like kind of just kept it driving.
Was that the thing that I thought was breathing, the sound that was sort of like a constant, sort of like a mid-tone to high-tone drone?
That was the nebulae.
Got it.
Yeah. Okay. And I actually pulled the cord out when I took this photo. I mean, by the end. But I actually had that running through the moon phase. And then I had some I was sending some juice into the moon phase to get the phases to kind of go around and shift the sound. And then that Bifaco line unit, it's got like envelope, and it's awesome for either it has XLR or a 1/4 inch. So I like to sometimes I just want another drum layer, so I'll just keep it simple with a pocket operator through there. But this time I decided to use my thumb piano just to add like a different texture in the beginning.
Okay.
So
that was my next question was like, what other external instrument? I saw you with the little thumb piano. Did you have any other percussion coming from anywhere else? Or
no.
So what we see is exactly what you were using in your set.
Yeah.
That's amazing. It just really shows what you can do with a small setup if you really it kind of challenges you to get to know your modules a little bit better, I think, too.
Absolutely.
So let me ask you then, as you said, like you like to have a different patch, and we're going to kind of go over this a little bit more as we move through the interview, but touching base on the fact that you are a composer and you are a drummer, I know you play multiple instruments. How is your approach when you're playing more of the traditional instruments as to now preparing for a live performance with the modular? Is it similar or is it?
Honestly, like for me, modular offers more freedom. And there's more outside of the box possibilities. And I personally love textures and harmonies that rub. Some people call it dissonance, but I just see it as just a different like type of close-knit harmony. Okay. And and I also kind of love stuff that sounds outside of the box. This particular patch really had more of a melodic side to it. So I did bring in, I kind of was working with like an A section, a B section, and a C section. And also, I'm still getting to know the NerdSec. So there was moments where I actually wanted it to shift, but I had to like do a little menu diving. I'm still getting it under, and that's the fun part of it, because it's sort of like, like those Bronco things that you get on like a bull. It's like I'm gonna hold on and see what's gonna happen, and it's like, maybe I'll get thrown off. And actually this NerdSec has a feature where you can hit like the shift button and then get it to start or stop. And if you hit it, you can get everything to stop. But if you hit it just stop, then you just get that one track to stop. But sometimes I get used to just hitting the shift button. And so actually I tried another take and I was in the middle of it. And then I wanted one part to stop, but I accidentally just did the wrong thing. Because it was like 5 a.m. when I made that video and I was just not awake yet. And the whole thing stopped. It was just like, so, okay, let me just try this again.
Right. So you're still kind of getting to. So now, what sequencer were you using before the NerdSec?
I actually wasn't using a sequencer. I was using a combination of things. What's that thing called with the blinking blue lights? The make noise one. The blinking blue lights. I can't believe I can't remember. What's that?
Oh, the Tempe?
Yeah.
The clock? The
I was
Tempe?
I
Okay.
was using the Tempe a lot, and I actually enjoy using the MPC-1.
Oh, yes.
The MPC-1 has CV outs, 8 CV outs, and so it actually does some really cool stuff. And what I like about it, the Mpc Grid, I sometimes I really get like anti-melodic melodies just by using, because it's got this touch screen. So by using my finger and just creating shapes, and then like hearing how the shapes are interpreted through the sound, instead of consciously being like, oh, I want this to be a fifth and I want this to go up to the third. And then, so it's just another way of creating. Yeah, I'm working with textures and patterns and timbres. I love that about modular, the freedom.
Freedom. So let me ask you this then. So what was the first instrument that you learned to play?
Well, it's interesting because they say that either the drum or the voice is the first instrument, for everyone. But the first instrument that I was forced to play was the piano. So
do we thank Laverne for that?
We could thank Laverne and my mom and my grandmother. I called her me mommy. My family's from the South, so she's my me mommy. So she was an organist for Mount Pisgah AME Church and Choir.
Okay.
And so yeah.
So you
grew up like that.
Yeah, I got it. My aunt was she played piano for silent films, so that's who I got my first piano from. So
wow.
Yeah, so I get the family, kind of keeping playing in the family. I think it's
really
important.
Interesting. Yeah. We've never talked about this. We got to talk about this more.
Oh yeah. So when did you start using modular? Let's go there first.
I started dealing with modular in earnest maybe almost 3 years ago, actually. Okay. I was using Ableton and a push and dealing with a lot of MIDI kind of electronic stuff and working with some of the stuff with that Max. And then I got some Logs. I got a grandmother, and I work a lot with young people. And I remember I was teaching at an alternative to incarceration program, and I took a Moog, and it really drew the young people in, and the way that they would just be so focused, just turning the dial, ever so slightly, and really appreciating the minor changes in the textures of the wave and the sound, and patching a wave. And then the moment they said, "Yo, miss, how much is this?" I was like, oh. And so then I started looking for like affordable, like the kind of gear that if my students could afford with a summer job. And so that put me in a zone of like DIY kind of kits. And also I have a really cool system that's by A.E. Modular Tangible Waves, made by Robert Langier, put together by Paul Tass at Error Instruments. And so Robert's from Germany, Paul's, Netherlands. And it's got like the little pin wires. And so the modules, they aren't used, he didn't use expensive materials. So it's pretty, so I teach like basic, like patching and synthesis on that with a lot of young people. But then I just started going wherever I wanted to go,
Right.
Yeah.
Very nice. So I just want to just kind of touch base with our listeners and make sure that if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat. If you have any for LaFrae, I'm sure she's more than happy to answer questions about her setup or anything. Really,
Chantal.
right?
Hey, Chantal, Felice.
Hey, Chantal. So just so if anyone is joining the show right now, so Faders Up is about talking to artists that they have a performance, and we talk about their live setup and their process and how they pick gear, and kind of blossom the conversation from there. So with that, I know some things about you, and just so people out there that are trying to get to know you a little bit more. Let's talk about group diplomacy, and let's kind of back up to before, you and I met, before the pandemic. You were on you were doing a bunch of other things. And so let's kind of talk about that a little bit, just to kind of give a little bit more background.
Sure.
Yeah. So what is group diplomacy? Just for our audience here, if you want to.
Right. So group diplomacy, it's an NGO organization that I created based on the concept a groove makes you move, and movement creates unity, community, and change. And group diplomacy, we started, I would hire and train some musicians with me depending upon the project, and we would go to another country and either create a festival or a project, concerts, or do workshops and partner with other NGOs on the ground in the countries or through the State Department. So, yeah.
So you were, just to kind of give a little bit more details in there. So with some of the countries, like you were in Guatemala, right? And in Siberia.
Yeah.
You want to talk a little bit about the program? Because that's something that you regularly do, right?
In Siberia?
Yeah.
It's so funny too, because when I got the assignment to go to and I mean this with love in my heart, to go to Russia and stuff, I was like, man, why can't I go to a drumming culture? Why don't you guys send me to I don't know, Ghana or something? I was just like, yay, the Balkans, yay, Russia. And you know what? I had so much fun in those countries. And so the Russian tour was really nuts. We were on 10 planes in 11 days. They were flying us around by dates and not thinking about our bodies and jet lag and time zones. And Russia has 9 time zones. So it was just we were like, do. When I got to Siberia, I was so messed up. And it was my birthday. And so I hung out, even though I was super jet lagged and just needed to sleep. And I met some people and I started talking about group diplomacy and the type of teaching that I do. They invited me back. And I teach about African-American music, culture, and history. And so I did an improvisation in African-American music and spirituals workshop in 4 places in Siberia. And then I started reading this book called The Master and Margarita by Bulgakov that they told me was the book. And I started writing themes for all the characters. And then I pitched it to this music college where I was doing workshops. And we put together an 80-piece orchestra. And I started flying back and forth between the countries, rehearsing for The Master and Margarita meets jazz. And then
we did that in there. I'm sorry, I need to interrupt you for a moment and just say, she said 80.
It was an 80-piece orchestra. Yeah. Mostly, probably. The only requirement for me is an open heart. So if any kid came and said they wanted to be in the band, I had 2 dudukes. Do you know what a duduk is? It's this Armenian reed instrument. I had a duduk section. I was fine, we'll write for duduk. You know what I mean? I'll put it in there. So I was writing for balalaika, domra, duduk, and regular, orchestral instruments. And then this just kept happening year after year. And they invited me back and we just had a new project and a new project. And it became really amazing because I'll just say this really quick because you probably want to talk about more modular stuff. But in Russia, in Russia, they're very much classical music standard. It's a very intense thing of excellence. And so they kind of really were why do you want to play with our kids? They suck. But I really like working with young people. And it was really fun lifting them up and getting to take them on big stages because we played amazing festivals. And so that collaboration continues up until the pandemic, but hopefully it'll pick back up once things get open.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Now, so the one in Guatemala came prior to this? Is that just so I follow?
Yeah, well, the one in Guatemala was also, it happened back and forth over a period of, I want to say maybe 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
They had a really amazing ambassador named Todd Robinson, American ambassador, who really appreciated my work and gave me many opportunities to use the work to connect. So I got a chance to work with the Afro-Guatemalans, the Garifuna, and they live on an island called Livingston below the coast of Guatemala. And so Groove Diplomacy raised money to have more drums made for them because they kind of had a goal as an embassy to empower young women. And to talk about creativity and entrepreneurship and self-efficacy and creative thinking. And that's the kind of stuff that I bake into my teaching style. My pedagogical approach is very social, emotional, and rich tasks. I don't like say, this is how you do it. I just kind of try to unlock. And so it was interesting because we were able to get more drums, and girls weren't playing drums, but just by seeing me, then every time I went back to Livingston, there was more girls playing drums.
That's
yeah. That was really, it was a really amazing experience. We also traveled all over the country, but probably one of the most painfully powerful experiences was getting a chance to teach musical workshops in a center for girls who were survivors of sexual trafficking. They had a regime there, a military regime that would round up girls in villages and take them to be used by the soldiers. And so when the presidency shifted, or that regime was taken over, because they have like a crazy history, now most of those military leaders are being hunted and being brought to justice. And the girls are kept in these centers where they're anonymous. And I could never show photos of my teaching, where they were waiting to testify in these cases, Right. So, but I mean, to go in there and make music and get a chance to use songwriting as a way to just kind of open up expression was like powerful. And I'm grateful for the experience.
It's like a new freedom for them too.
Yeah. And hopefully they're still making, I mean, part of the work that I do, it's like, I want to be able to plant a seed so that when I leave, it can go on without me. Right. So we co-created like the first jazz festival in Guatemala City. And I think that's still going on, so just like that. Yeah.
That's amazing. And hopefully you'll have a chance to kind of get back there and see some of your students from the previous times.
Yeah. That's, there's somebody shooting off fireworks outside, if you hear that. New York.
I get it. So, okay. So this sort of like, just kind of sharing your background and hearing, the fact that the foundation of your music is teaching and being open, and it seems very natural then that you kind of moved into modular and also the position that you're currently in. Although you weren't, had I asked you about this position probably in January, you would have no idea that you would be the director of the Willie Mae Future Sounds right now, but it seems fitting.
Yeah, it actually, it's an opportunity. It's the Willie Mae Rock Camp for girls. And I'm one of the founding teaching members from 16 years ago. And I stepped back, and I'm the co-executive director of a program that I created called Willie Mae Future Sounds. Willie Mae's Big Mama Thornton. The blues is the roots and everything else is the fruits. And we stand on the shoulders of Big Mama Thornton. And so actually there's a real connection and a through line between the blues and Afrofuturism. And Afrofuturism creates a through line from the blues through electronic music that kind of aligns things historically that get out of place when you see how some people tell the story of music history, the foundations of techno, etc. Right. And techno's black. And so, but it's for everybody. But I'm saying, like, the origins, like, don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. You know what I mean? And so getting a chance to create a program that brings like social justice, synths, and sound design, music technology, and afrofuturism all together for girls and gender nonconforming youth, BIPOC young people is an amazing thing, you know, and it's really cool. One of my students, she created a place, you know, sonic architecture, the afrofuturistic way of creating. She created a place where she could go to get away from some of the violence and the like the police brutality stuff is really having it. You know, kids are traumatized. Everyone is,
Right.
but the kids are really traumatized. She's 15. She created through her sounds an island called Foasis. Faux meaning like F-A-U-X, Foasis.
Uh-huh.
And she imagines going there when she needs a break from what's going on in this world, and she calls it a vocation. And she wrote a piece, and so she actually, you know, and that's what I love about Afrofuturism, but also music in general, because you know, it's like, who's to say, like people use a song as a vehicle to get away and you're going to another place. So actually when you create a song, you are creating another place, which is Drexciya. And, you know, Drexciya created Drexciya and then Grava 4, you know, so that's, you know, and that's so inspiring to me.
So which brings me then to, because, you know, as we talk about your name, Drexciya, you know, FraeFrae, daughter of Drexciya. Let's talk a little bit about that, like, and kind of give a little bit of history on why you picked that name. I know when I you know, made an announcement on, you know, the social medias, and you know, like those that know you were like, oh yes, we can't wait, and others were like, you know, did James and Gerald have a daughter? Like, and I'm like, no, she's just extremely inspired, and you know, come check out the show so you can hear about LaFrae, and she'll explain why. So
yeah,
you know, please.
Well, to be honest,
don't know.
Well, when I teach, I like to wear T-shirts that have either a historical figure or a quote on it, so that while I'm speaking, if the kids are looking at me, they also see something that's interesting. And I think that, you know, choosing FraeFrae, daughter of Drexciya, creates conversation, and it's an opportunity to kind of talk about this thing. First of all, my name is LaFrae. Laverne is my mom, Frank is my father. They put it together, and my mom calls me FraeFrae, and friends and family call me FraeFrae. And I am a child of the 80s, so I finished high school in 87. So around 88, 89, 90, 91, we started driving from where my father was in the Air Force, and he was stationed and retired outside of Dayton, Ohio. Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. So that's how we ended up there. So my point is, we would drive to Detroit and we would go to all the clubs. And so like Drexciya and all these other like techno, black techno, but I mean, it feels weird to say black techno, but it was a black scene.
Yeah.
It was, you know, it was a black scene of electronic music. And we were there on the regular, you know, and so there's that's a part of my experience that I honor through the name. The other thing too is that, you know, as an African American woman, you know, there's things that I do know about my life and my history and my lineage, but there's things that you don't know because of the institution of slavery. And the Middle Passage was the most traumatic and difficult experience for enslaved Africans brought from Africa to the United States or wherever they ended up. So in the Middle Passage, many people died. A lot of enslaved Africans were like, bump this, I don't know where we're going, but I'm jumping off this ship. And then a lot were thrown over if they were pregnant or sick or required any type of, you know, care that couldn't be given, because they weren't considered people, they were considered chattel. And so for Drexciya to imagine a myth of those enslaved Africans going into the sea and mutating and becoming a superior undersea group of people and a whole society around that, and then building 8 records to like illuminate and create brick by brick or drop by drop, I don't know, underneath the water. Like for the intergenerational kind of trauma that we carry as African Americans, for me, it sort of like brings a redress. And so, and also it resonates, you know what I mean? It's like, and I live by the ocean, and anybody who really knows me knows that 9 times out of 10 I'm by the ocean. Now I know that the Drexciyans ended up on a planet called Grava 4, but I feel like there's a part of me that comes from, lives in Drexciya. Yeah, huge connection. You know, so for me, you know, it's not like biting, it's actually just purely honoring the tradition.
That's right. Nice. Well, thanks for explaining that. I mean, I know that you and I have talked about it, and
yeah,
I knew most of it, but I'm glad that you shared it, because I'm sure that there are others that are out here too, like want to know that history and why the name is important to you, and you didn't just pick it like just out of nowhere. So yeah. I just want to check in again with our chat. I see like they're dropping in some comments. They're like Lillian, Chantel. I see Space Racer and Wes Curry showed up. Thank you again.
Hey guys.
Thank you, everyone. Please, if you have questions, make sure you drop them in the chat while we have her here. And yeah.
Love you too.
So while maybe people are kind of thinking what they can ask you, and just as they learn more about you, what do you have? It's hard. It might be a little difficult to answer this question due to the current time, but like what do you have in store? What do you have planned, I guess, for the next year? Or what do you want to do in the next year? How about that?
Yeah,
a loaded question.
Well, I would like
this a lot, so I want to ask somebody else this question for once.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love for the world to be open again. But I'm not grateful for the pandemic, but I'm grateful for the scenarios that I'm grateful for the opportunity to slow down, to really get a chance to reflect and also appreciate what I have.
Mm-hmm.
And slowing me down is a good thing. And it feels, I'm okay with it now. I'm actually, there's a film director that's asked me to write a couple of themes for a film. So I should probably be working on that in the next month.
Okay.
I mean, right now I'm just trying to work on streaming. You know, it's like I'm trying to get got my GoPro, got my, you know, because I've been making videos, but I want to get my live streaming scenario together, and do more live streaming, and I don't know, just keep making music. Do I make music on the beach? You know what? I want to make music on the beach. I haven't figured it out. Now my AE modular system can hook up to a big cell phone battery, and I can take that out and then plug it into like a JBL Bluetooth or with headphones.
Mm-hmm.
I have not yet, but I want to make music on the beach. It's just that I don't know how to run an extension cord from anywhere yet. But in terms of, I'm thinking of like my gear, like my modular gear on the beach, which, but in terms of making music on the beach, honestly, the beach is music, you know? So, yeah.
What about like any sort of percussion, or taking any sort of percussive drums or anything like that, or to the beach, maybe recording, like sampling? And I know Monoscene does a lot of sampling and things like that. I saw something there, you made me think of that. So
$14 fixes. Okay. We'll talk, Wes Curry. Yeah, I mean, I haven't really done a lot. I usually just get out to the beach to kind of chill. and be reflective and listen. So I haven't really taken a lot of stuff to the beach yet. It's weird, the pandemic, like the first 3 months, I didn't move. I just basically stayed in my house. And so now that I have a place where, because I moved, you know, apartments from Brooklyn to where I live in a undisclosed location of Rockaway. Or Rock-a-Frae, as we've been calling it.
Right.
I don't know. I'm starting to like get up at 6 when nobody's out and going out to the beach and moving more. But yeah, I need to make some music on the beach. That's gonna happen. I'm just moving slow.
You're just what? I'm sorry.
Sample that ocean. I'm moving slow. Yep. Sample that ocean sound. I have a Zoom H1, a duet with the beach. Yeah, that's
yep.
That resonates. Absolutely. That's my frequency. Yeah.
Nice.
All day.
So I think I see another. There we go. So yeah, thanks for popping that up there, Sean.
Chantal has a question. I'm curious what other forms of creativity you've been into lately that are contrasting or complementing your music. Any new ones since quarantine? I mean, like new modules, you know what I mean? And, you know, having a friend like Trovarsi, you know, because I'll be like, I'm thinking about getting, and Trovarsi's like, get it, just get it. No, just get it. Like, I don't even finish my sentence. You're like, no, just get it. And it's like, okay.
Hey, not every module.
Not every module, but there's been a couple you've just been like, yeah, no, get it. In fact, probably 4 things in my case are from conversations with you, just being like, no, get that mixer. No, you need to get this mixer. You need to do that. So I've been, my sister's a doctor, and she does like neuroscience kind of study. And so I see that everyone needs a good, bad influence. It's okay. And I'm so weird too, because it's like, I'll Google it and I'll look at it and I'll read about it and then I'll watch videos about it.
Right.
And then I'll go away and then I'll come back and do it again. And it's like, I do this like kind of like,
special dance with the...
Yes. That's my process of buying modules. It's like, no, but so what I've been doing with my sister, she's been really, really using her neuroscience background to look at certain frequencies. So you know how like A is traditionally now like 440. You know, I mean, it's different in Europe. I think they do like 442 or 441. I don't know. But my sister started thinking about that whole like 432, 528 hertz kind of love frequency, different frequency of gratitude starting around 741 hertz, etc. So, you know, there's this whole binaural beat thing and frequencies that you can listen to. Like there's a ton of them on YouTube, but my sister was like, you know, I don't think that's how it works. Like, I don't think it's like, oh, I'm going to listen to the gratitude frequency, or I'm going to listen to, because my sister's like, look, Frae, here's what's up. You resonate at a certain frequency. We resonate at frequencies depending upon how we feel or whatever. At any moment, it shifts. So it's the frequency from the outside plus your current resonation creating a third frequency. So the two, whatever that outside is, depending like upon where you are, you create like another harmonic.
Right.
So my sister's been working with these different frequencies, and she's been studying some sacred geometry stuff, and she's been looking for a tetrahedron. And so I have a Chladni plate. Do you know what that is?
No. Okay.
It's this German scientist who created this study, and he would take frequencies and they would vibrate. I was actually taking pictures of my Chladni plate and sending them to Todd Barton. So he would take sand and put it on the surface of the plate. And then as the frequency vibrates, it shifts into geometric shapes depending upon the frequency. And then if you have a sweep between a couple frequencies, then, you know, it goes from like, you know, this shape to this shape, you know, so the sand on the Chladni plate. So
that's like the Polygogo module.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The visual, exactly. So my sister and I get on Zoom, and she sends me wave files of these frequency sweeps that she's been doing, and then I run them through my Chladni plate, and she gets to see how the sand is creating different focuses. And
So cool.
it's interesting because it's like you visually, visually that this frequency is this, so it kind of is a different approach. Have I worked it into my music yet? No, but it's got me chewing on something. So to answer your question, Chantal, I think that it will have an influence on me,
I think
so.
you should. I think it'd be interesting, like, yeah, I think you should try it.
Well, the weird thing is, not the weird thing, the frequencies that make the most beautiful shapes aren't aurally appealing. Like some of them are so high, they're in that, like they're just shy of the dog range,
Right.
they aren't like these beautiful
like
tones. Yeah. And they're really meant to be listened to at very, very low, volumes because of that. So, but it's been kind of an interesting road, me with my music background and my sister with her neuroscience, and us like geeking out on Zoom.
Nice.
With the Chladni plate.
His face racer is like so freaking nerdy. She's Googling that stuff right now.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Man, just the pandemic really slowed me down. It's like I don't know. I have a different tempo. It doesn't feel like, because I used to run. Not jog, but like I used to always be traveling. Yeah.
Right.
So now I'm just a little like, yeah. Like I've been listening to vinyl. I've been buying a lot of records, and just like enjoying the sound of vinyl, and enjoying the sound of the ocean and just kind of being still. And I've been doing a lot of roller skating.
Oh yeah, that's right. You said you were always skating on the boardwalk.
I'm enjoying that.
But I hear you.
Yeah.
So you have like an opportunity to kind of shift. So what module are you looking at right now? Are you looking at any modules right now?
Yeah, the assimilator.
Oh yeah.
The assimilator.
I really enjoy the assimilator, and I know that Jono is a huge advocate for the assimilator, and I know he's been in your ear about it. But to be, when I was planning my setup, because before the whole pandemic, I was setting up for a tour as well, and the whole concept of how do you scale down, like what do you put in your case. And I had a lot of percussive modules in my case. And that's when I talked to him. He's like, well, you could just sample it and get
the zones. Yeah.
It give me a whole extra, row of module space. So I definitely think it's something to look at. There's a lot of other sample modules that are out there. Like if you want to go something a little bit more simple, maybe the squid salample. I'm sure there's some people in the chat that could throw some other sampler modules that would. Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
No, but because High Sign Mountain, any filters, I know.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we have the filter talk.
The filter talk, and there's more filter talk coming. I've been just enjoying that Patching Panda filter lately. I've just been trying to get to know it and work with it in different ways. And then, what's our favorite filter?
Bitbox Micro, yes, by 1010. Mm-hmm. My favorite, well, I don't know. I just bought a new filter, the Bionic Luster. I haven't tried it yet.
Oh.
But just to let everybody else know in the chat, the reason why we're also spun over to the filters, you may or may not know, but Colorado Synth Society has their meetup this Sunday. I'm really looking forward to it. LaFrae, FraeFrae, and I are going to be on there with Sign Mountain and Mono Scene.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about filters. And if anybody knows me, I absolutely love filters. I'm that modular person that has more filters than VCAs in my case.
That's okay.
Yeah. So, are there any announcements that you want to say before we're at the top of the hour, and just kind of you want to shout to our internet synth fam and anyone else who might be following up on this later before we
I just want to shout out to my Willie Mae family. You know, if you're interested in finding out about Willie Mae Future Sounds, again, teaching synths, social justice, and to girls, POC girls, and gender nonconforming youth. It's WillieMaeRockCamp.org. And so if you want to check it out, I know that you've been a part of some things, and we're looking forward to having you coming back and do some stuff. I also just want to shout out everybody in the chat. Of course, I want to shout out all the Drexciyans in the universe, and my mom and my dad and my sister. So thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, and my boo. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, I'm looking forward to doing more stuff for Willie Mae. I did make sure, like everyone, just check the description. I dropped her links, the Groove Diplomacy, the Willie Mae. I will update it with your Bandcamp. And actually, my T-shirt is inspired from our conversation when I played the Willie Mae Festival for you. Like, use whatever you want to use is basically computer, modular, whatever. Like, very inspired by that conversation that we had to just screw it. Use whatever it takes to send your message to make music.
That's it.
Yep. All right. Thank you so much for coming on Faders Up. I really appreciate you being here.
Yeah, much love to you and all the puppies and everybody. Space Racer. Love everybody in the chat. Thank you, Sean Kuda.
Woo.
Thank you, Trovarsi.
Yeah, big shout out to Sean for, manning the ship here for me, and so we can kind of dive into our conversation. So I appreciate Sean. He's definitely a brother. So thanks, Sean. Just quick, couple housekeeping things. So yes, we have Colorado Synth Society has their meetup this Sunday. It's at 1 Pacific Standard Time. So please, if somebody wants to drop the mountain time, what was that? 2 o'clock mountain? Don't make me convert time, please. Never mind.
Just be there.
Just be there. I'm sure. Jono, please, when's the next Modular World? Please drop it in the chat. Now's a good time. Let us know when that's coming up. Synth Booth is next month. I know that.
We're all going to be there, right? We're all doing stuff.
Yep. Shows, panels. That's going to be a blast.
Love you too.
Yeah. And I just want to let everyone know my next guest for Faders Up is B-Boy Tech.
Yeah.
Yep, it's going to be good. And he's going to talk about something that, well, I'll just let him talk about it when he's on the show. I can't say right now, but I'm pretty excited. So
very cool.
Yeah. So with that, I want to say thank you to everyone in the chat for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure. I love doing this. I love having an opportunity to speak with, lovely artists like you, LaFrae.
Likewise, thanks.
Our synth fans.
I know. I'm like, God, that's an hour already.
Yeah, I know. It went by fast.
It did. But thank you, and good luck with all this. This is amazing. I appreciate it. From my blue couch to yours.
Yes. Thank you. See you, everyone. Have a good night. Keep making music. Be safe. See you at the next Faders Up. Good night.
Faders Up.
Woo.
Wow.